Alright, so we are now on to part 2. I'm going to be starting with the About Me of your website. First thing I notice, big wall of text. Don't want to read it. It's way too much. There's no pictures. There's nothing to skim or look at. There's nothing in bold. I open this page and my brain goes, nope. It's one of the unfortunate things that we deal with, that people are not giving us as much time and attention as we're hoping. We spend so much time and sweat and worry about our website, making sure that every word is okay, but you've got to remember the context. This bride or this mom has looked at 30 websites today for a photographer. She doesn't care. She doesn't want to read all this stuff. Well, maybe she does, but she just doesn't know it. So when she opens this and there's no images, there's nothing to easily skim, she's just going to shut down. You have to immediately grab them with either an interesting opening or images or something to easily skim. So again, I'm going to show you how I do that on my website. My About Me is definitely not the best About Me ever. Believe me, I'm constantly trying to adjust it. But when you look at it, it's very easily cut into sections that are very simple to skim. There's a few images. It's a lot less to take in. That makes it much easier on people. So I would definitely suggest some images of you, of your family, of your kids, of your pets, something. It's impossible to convince people that photography is important and that photography is something that can make us feel wonderful about our own lives if we don't take the opportunity to get that done for ourselves. So if you haven't yet, I strongly encourage you to either trade for a session or to purchase a session with a photographer that you love. Yes, it's a lot of money, and that's hard because we, as photographers, actually put a lower monetary value on photography because we consider it easier because we know how to do it. But having a session done with somebody else will definitely help you to be put in your client's shoes. It'll help you to understand how they feel preparing for the session and going to the session. It'll help you to see, oh, well, maybe I should communicate better about this or that, or, this was the big worry that I had, so maybe I should address that in my clients. It'll help you to see, wow, I really felt uncomfortable when the person wasn't posing me, or, oh, when they said this, I didn't understand. Maybe I should work on that. It's just a huge benefit, and it's tax deductible as something that's necessary for your business, and also can be considered education for a tax deductible as well. But please talk to your CPA about that because it might depend state to state. But it's something that I urge you to do at the very least until you have the opportunity to do that. Set up the tripod and do a couple selfies. Do something to get some images on this page so that I can connect with you as a person. So let's say that I'm looking past everything I just said and I'm going to read it anyway. Excuse me while I take a drink of water. So this could be slimmed down a little bit. I like that you have a welcome, but you could honestly just jump right into talking about your wonderful husband. I definitely wish he had some images here of your family. That would be wonderful. It'll help you to connect with other parents. You definitely want a specific type of person to read your About Me and say, oh, I love this girl. Oh, I want this girl to shoot my wedding or shoot my kids or whatever. And you want some people to be like, nah, I don't like her. The key to success in business is finding your people. And that's going to mean putting off other people, which is totally fine. After this review, I'll link you to some interesting articles from Psychology for Photographers about writing your About Me and about writing in general. There's a couple of ebooks that she has that are just phenomenal. Totally changed my business. And that'll help you to translate the skills that you have in photography into writing. Still very young, 2 and 3-year-old boys. So are they all 2 and 3? Like, do you have twins? There needs to be a space before LOL. This section, although it's funny, and I think parents would connect with it, it also makes me feel a little strange as a client, like, are they going to burn the house down while you're shooting my shoot? So that's kind of, maybe could be reworded a little bit. I would talk less about, there needs to be something in here about how do I phrase this? You're About Me needs to be less about you and more about your clients. That sounds a little bit backwards, but the best About Me pages grab the client and say, this is how I am and that's great for you because XYZ. So instead of saying, my days right now are really hectic, every second of my attention goes to my boys, you could change that to make it client-centric by saying something like, I totally understand being a busy mom. Some days it feels like my boys are going to burn the house down if I don't chase after them every second. So I understand as a photographer how important it is to capture these fleeting years and how important it is for your photographer to be organized and to make it easy on you to do a session because you've got enough to deal with without having to worry about photography. See how much more that would pull in the client, because it goes from being like, oh yeah, sounds like my kids, to being, oh, it sounds like my kids, and it sounds like she understands. This would be a photographer that's going to understand my busy schedule and going to work with me and who I can trust because she knows what she's talking about. Flip-flops is one word. You just need to have a, what is it called? The line in the middle. Wow, totally blanking, but not a comma. Yeah, we'll come back to that. I don't know what you mean by clean is a big word in this house. Like to be organized, not to the extreme. Yeah, I think this could be reworded to be a little bit more understandable because I don't follow you there. I would put, I value honesty over anything else, along with true friends. This sentence feels a little bit like SEO bait and not real natural. I would probably reword it to say, I became a Dallas-based wedding photographer or whatever in such and such year. And then say, I'd love to tell you a little bit more about how I got started or something like that. You're trying to stuff too much in here. You can't, how do I explain this? Google wants to return very specific results. So each page of your website needs to be geared for a totally separate keyword. Because Google is looking not at your site as a whole, but at each individual page as its own thing. So, when you put Dallas-Fort Worth-based wedding newborn portrait photographer, Google is not going to rank that very highly because you're trying to do too many things at once. Does that make sense? Unless somebody is specifically Googling this exact phrase, this page is not going to come up for this. So if you say instead, Dallas portrait photographer, or romantic, or Dallas, Texas romantic wedding photographer, something more specific, then that will help you rank for it. That's hard to wrap the brain around, but it's definitely worth it. Also, I wouldn't worry too much about your About Me page ranking highly for any particular words. I would worry more about particular pages such as your home page and your blog pages. Anyway, moving on. You could just remove this sentence. It doesn't make any sense to have it in there. It's just kind of filling up space. When I was a child, my only goal as a child was to grow up. That's a little bit redundant. If you say it out loud, definitely always read your pages out loud before you hit publish. When I was a child, my only goal as a child was to grow up. So that's kind of redundant. So you could say, when I was a child, my only goal was to grow up. But as a wife and mother now, I recognize the desire to not just photograph great portraits, but real life and the joy that surrounds happy families and individuals. I might even change that to when I was a child. Well, no, never mind. Anyway, getting too far into it. It's my OCD. All right. My goal from the beginning was to capture real moments, big and small, in a beautiful way and preserve them for others for years to come. Being able to capture the beauty that exists in each person. Okay. So, all of this is corporate speak. So in other words, it's a lot of words that are really pretty but don't actually say anything. As a client, I have no idea what you're talking about. So life is beautiful and photographs are meaningful and I photograph real moments and it's beautiful and the beauty that exists, and you're not saying anything specific. So, for example, to be able to say something like, it means so much to me when a client looks at their pictures of their child laughing as they're running through the sprinkler and they start crying because they realize that that's something that they're going to look back on and remember for the rest of their lives. Give them something concrete to picture. Give them something that makes them say, I want to do that. I want to feel that way. I would remove this sentence. You don't want to plant the idea of not having a high respect for photographic material. That's not something that needs to be addressed. Honestly, with this whole paragraph, I don't understand, because you said, I'll tell you a little bit about how I became a photographer, but you never really do. You just kind of say, well, I didn't want to be a photographer when I was a kid, and now I really love it because it's really beautiful and awesome and wonderful. So it didn't really answer anything. So that's fine. You can talk about all these beautiful things. Like I said, be more specific about it, but either you're going to tell us how you became a photographer or you're not. So make up your mind either way and then do it. Inspiring starting stories are a really great way to build a brand. You can tell them about, what experience you first had that led to you buying a camera. Whether it was somebody else bought it as a gift, or whether it was, that you just wanted to make some money and then you fell in love with it. I mean, something specific. Again, you're kind of putting another little plug there. It doesn't make sense because you're trying to do too many different keywords. It's just, you're not going to rank for this keyword by using it just once. And using a bunch of other words as well. It doesn't necessarily hurt anything, but it just kind of sounds a little bit stale. So I would think about making it a little bit more of a like if you take out this one would probably sound a little bit more natural. Does that make sense? I would probably get rid of this last sentence. Thanks again for stopping by. Getting to know your family would mean the world to me. I would change that, would mean the world to me. So I look forward to having you a part of ours. This sentence doesn't flow real well. I would probably adjust it. Getting to know your family would mean the world to me. I would love to have your family a part of my family. And then contact me here. You need to give them specific instructions. So having some buttons that say, check out my work here, or contact me by clicking this, or read some reviews here. I know it's sad because it's up here in the menu, but people need to be told what to do next, every single step of the way. Alright, so that wraps up the About Me. FAQs. I would probably move FAQs to the bottom of this list because I would want people to click on About Me and then what to expect and then reviews and then FAQs. A few images here would be nice. It's not necessary 100%, but it would be nice. I would also, if you're going to have a page with your gear bag, I would look into an Amazon affiliates account and link each of these to these items on Amazon. That way, if any wedding photographer is reading this and wants to say, hey, that lens looks good, and clicks on it and buys it, you get a little bit of money. But I mean, that's completely up to you. Or you could just link to it for no reason. It would look kind of nice to have some links in there. That's just me. I would put this in parentheses because it's a different thought than the rest of the sentence. I would almost move these questions farther down because most clients don't have any idea what they're reading. So putting this at the top makes it look like the top question that people ask you is, how can I book you? You know what I mean? Sounds a little bit better. You jump right into the retainer. I would add a little bit something in the beginning. Simply contact me today at this link, and we will get started talking about your portrait session or wedding date. and then say, for portrait sessions, comma, a $20 retainer is due at the time of booking. That amount is applied to the total amount due. For weddings, blah, 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 blah. Personally, I would up your retainer for your weddings, but that's completely up to you. I do 50%, and from the polls that I've done with other photographers, 50% tends to be the norm, because $200, it's too easy for people to walk away if they find somebody else that they'd rather book and dump you at the last minute. So this sounds really negative, like you're being really defensive about it. My second shooter is my husband. He is very knowledgeable on photography and equipment. Trust me, I would not risk him being my second shooter if I didn't trust his abilities. That's how it kind of comes across. I don't think that's how you intended to write it. But yeah, it comes across as super negative. So I would instead change it to my second shooter is my husband. He's very knowledgeable on photography and equipment. He has been shooting since such and such, and I love how he does such and such. It's a great compliment because I usually do blah, blah, blah. So, for example, I'm just going to make it up because I don't know your husband, but saying something like, my second shooter is my husband. He's very knowledgeable on photography and equipment. He's been shooting with me for 4 years, and it was nice because I was able to train him from the beginning so that we could learn to complement each other as we shoot. He tends to shoot in a very wide scope, getting big shots of the overall view of the wedding, which fits my style very well, as I tend to focus on very close-up moments and emotions. Together, we can cover every aspect of your day in a beautiful way. Something like that. How long will it take before I see my images? Okay. That's good. Do you edit your images or something? I edit all my images. Okay. This is really well done. It's written in a colloquial fashion, and you answer it in a positive way, although the answer is no. So that's good. I would put a period here, make it 2 different sentences. Sometimes someone will blink or look away, or maybe have it in parentheses. I also like to give my clients a black and white photo with the duplicate in color. Yeah, I would just move that to a new sentence. So I would say, sometimes someone will blink or look away, so I will cull out those images which are not flattering, so that you're only left with the best from your session. I might also give my clients a black and white photo with the duplicate in color. Something like that. What if we need to reschedule my portrait session, I would say, just to make it clear. I mean, hopefully it should be obvious, but you want to make it clear that this is referring to portraits only. Please please be in contact with me as soon as you need to reschedule. This is completely up to you. If you are totally open with reschedules of any kind, that's totally fine. But I would put in something in here as far as what things are normal for rescheduling. So, for example, no problem. If one of your children is ill, or if there's a work emergency, I would be happy to reschedule for you. Or if the weather is going to be awful, I will get in contact with you to reschedule your date. Something like that. You don't want to plant the idea in their head that if they just wake up that morning and don't feel like doing their session that day, it's okay to reschedule, because that's going to waste a lot of your time. Okay. Your client isn't going to understand this at all. When they ask this question, they're more than likely really asking, what can I do with my images? So what you'd want to do is say, I retain the copyright to all the images per U.S. copyright law. That means that I can show off your images to my other clients so that they can see, my beautiful work, blah, blah, blah. When you get your images, you also have the right to blah, 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 blah. Make it so that they understand what they can and can't do with their images. All right, what to expect. Again, no images. I need to see more photos. I told you there was way too many photos on the galleries, so pull some of those and put them on So this looks like a what to expect for portraits specifically. So I would put in parentheses portraits. Or if you wanted to separate, well, yeah, it looks like with the rest of this it would be easier just to do what to expect portraits. Or you could separate each of these sections. So you could have FAQs for portraits and FAQs for weddings, and then what to expect for portraits, what to expect for weddings. Something like that. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, patience is key. This sounds pretty good. I would probably emphasize your professionalism here. So I would say, as a mom myself to my 2 small children, I know things don't often turn out as planned. Babies get hungry, toddlers get tired. We as parents must know how to adapt quickly. As a professional wedding photographer, I use this information that I've gained as a mom in order to make your session go smoothly. So if your child or baby is having a hard time during the session, we will slow down, go at their pace, and make sure to keep the child calm and relaxed so that they're having a fun time. You see what I mean? So make it more specific as far as that aspect. Help them to understand that you are in control. You will help the kid to calm down. You will help the kid to smile. Mom and dad doesn't need to freak out and be yelling at the kid the whole time. Clothing. I would just delete the words for example. So when trying to capture these moments, clothing is key. To create a classic look, there's accidentally an S here. Choose something simple without busy patterns or logos. This can often detract or create heavy contrast with the scenery. Okay. Okay. Okay, I love capturing the in-the-moment snaps. Not always natural to many. This could probably be phrased a little bit better. I love capturing the in-the-moment snaps that tell the story of you and your loved ones, period. And then I would say, I will definitely give suggestions as I shoot in order to pose you in a way that you are comfortable with so that you can feel your best. Location. This could probably be reworded a little bit. I often start this conversation with blah, 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 blah. It doesn't help me to understand who decides the location, and that's usually the first question. So I would start off by saying, I will help you choose your location based on the type of scenery you're wanting. For example, country, urban, botanical, modern, etc. And then the rest of the sentence sounds great. I would also mention if you have any rules as far as fees. So for example, if the location that you choose happens to charge a photography fee, that the client would be responsible for that fee. Of course, I know of plenty of other locations that I can suggest that do not incur additional fees. Something like that. Keys to a successful session. I would get more specific with this. I don't know what you're talking about. Messed with too much? I don't know what it is. This sounds okay. I'll link you to an article about how to help clients to follow rules, which will present a way to talk about it in such a way where it sounds like it's normal to not be late. It's normal to be early. Presenting it like this, if and when the 15 minutes have passed and the client is yet to arrive, makes it sound like a lot of people have done that, and that can actually backfire because it makes people feel like, well, other people do it, so that's normal. So I'll send you that information as well. Okay. Reviews. Oh, cool. It looks like a little, like it actually pulls it from Google. I would have a little thing at the top. Again, welcome them to this page. These reviews are taken right from Google so that you can be, you know, well, maybe not. I would say these reviews are taken straight from my Google business page, which is found at blah, blah, blah. People, in my experience, people like to know that you didn't just write these yourself. And that's a way of making sure of that. If possible, it would be really cool to have an image that you took of the person next to this. I don't know if that's possible with the style of formatting. Or maybe just have some text afterward that says, to see this family session, click here, blah, blah, blah. There's not too much to say here because it's just what people have written, so there's not anything you can do about that. But if possible, you could possibly make some things in bold so it's very easy to skim. That would be nice. Okay, I'm going to save the blog for just a second. I'm just going to check out the Say Hello page. You have a contact form. Be aware contact forms are really dicey. I cannot tell you how many photographers I know that have not realized that their contact form was broken for 7 months. So I would, if you're going to have a contact form, test it monthly or bi-weekly. Does that make sense? It also looks like there's supposed to be something here, and there's not, so I don't know what that's about. I would work on that. Again, there needs to be an image of your smiling face. I want to know who I'm talking to. This is the incorrect version of your. It needs to be UR, so it would be YOU''RE. If you are inquiring about general baseline pricing for weddings rates or portraits rates. This sentence need works. Oh boy. Needs work. So I would say, if you are inquiring about pricing, please note that information can be found under the rates column above, and then just link to it. And then this definitely needs to be adjusted. So I would change this to other possible questions may be answered in the FAQs found at link. This, I would make a new sentence, and it definitely needs to be a little bit more welcoming. So for example, say something like, if you're ready to talk more about booking your session, do not say if you're ready to book, because what if they're not ready to book? Maybe they just had more questions, or maybe they're not really sure and they just want to be talked into hiring you. Definitely say something like, I can't wait to talk more with you about your wedding or portrait session. Contact me below, or feel free to reach me at blah blah blah. So it looks like some images came up now. I don't know why it took so long, and I can't seem to click through it. I don't know what's going on. Something's going on with the images here. Need to figure that out, girlfriend. So I'm going to go ahead and test your contact form. If you don't receive this image, that would be a bad thing. As I said, definitely test at least monthly, if not bi-weekly. If you're going to have humble here, it would be humbled. I am excited and humbled that you have taken the time to contact me. I wouldn't necessarily put humbled because it sounds a little bit like you should feel privileged. Well, I guess you do. I don't know. It sounds funky to me, but that's just my personality. If it's your personality to say humbled, do it. I aspire to capture your life's sweetest moments and make your family my own. I'll be in contact with you soon. Okay. I would also put your email address on this page as well. In case the contact form isn't working, they need to have that. I know it's at the bottom of the page. People don't read. Put it in bold up here. Okay, so now, it's so funny that it's appearing now, but it didn't appear later. See, and now I can click on it, so I don't know what the dealio is with that. Was it on the other pages? Maybe there's images here and I just don't know it? It doesn't look like it. Get on that, girlfriend. Okay. Clicking blog. Okay, this is irritating. First of all, how am I supposed to find anything on your blog? I hit blog, and then I just get this long list of random things. There's no categories here. I have no reason to click on blog. It doesn't make any sense to even have it. It's great that you have the mini sessions here. Nobody's ever going to see it in this format. Tips for a successful newborn session, that's great. Again, nobody's ever going to see it. Maybe put that under info. What inspired me to be a photographer? Is that your about page? Let me click on it. Okay, so this doesn't make any sense. You have an about page, but then you also have this. So what it feels like to me is that you like the concept of having a blog, but don't know what to do with it. which is a very common feeling. I remember that feeling so well. If you're going to do it, make use of it well. Your blog can be one of the best things about your website. It can show recent sessions. It's awesome for SEO because every single blog post can rank for a different keyword. So I'm going to show you an example again with my site. While that's loading, another thing is this doesn't work because of the black background. I can't see any of the words, so it just looks really funky. I would either remove this section or fix that. So for example, now I use my blog as my main part of my site, but I separate it by category, and then, for example, sessions, people can click on recent sessions. Now let's say for a wedding, for example. My voice is starting to give out. So in my blog post, I feature the images that I liked the best of each wedding or session that I did. For sessions, it's only a few images. For weddings, I tend to go a little bit overboard. I apologize, my internet is horrible today. I'm apparently being throttled because I used up too much earlier in the month. Watch it not load at all. There we go. It doesn't have to be a lot of text. It doesn't have to be intimidating. The point is just to get it done. You definitely want to size your blog images to fit the width of your blog and make sure that they're not huge images as far as kilobyte size. So I use the software BlogStomp in order to make it easy to create these diptychs and triptychs, am I saying that right? Collection of images to be able to go up on my blog. So it tells the story really quick. Now, each post, I go for a totally different SEO keyword. So for example, if someone is Googling East Lansing MSU wedding locations intimate, this is likely to come up. And it's going to fit what they're looking for, more importantly. I try to use those keywords naturally throughout the text. And most of the time in my weddings, I mention a specific venue. So for example, I think this one would be, I decided for this one to use the keyword Eagle Eye Wedding Photographs, so that if they're looking for images from that particular reception location, they will find this page. Does that make sense? So every single blog page can rank for a completely different word. That spreads your net super wide and allows you to catch a lot of really specific searches, which are very important. So for your weddings, you could be getting a lot more traction on your blog. It also gives the opportunity in galleries, if possible, to let people know, hey, if you want to see a full wedding story, if you want to see this particular person's full wedding, click on the blog, and you can see the best images from the day, from start to finish. It doesn't have to be a lot of images, but just enough to be able to tell the story. This also has the benefit of showing social proof. So if I go to your blog and I see, 100 different sessions you've done with people, and you talk about, oh, Robin came to me because she just had her newborn daughter, and they're so excited, and they've always wanted to have a session, and they chose me, that's reinforcing to people that you are a good choice, that people come to you regularly. So definitely make use of your blog. That should be your number one thing to work on this month. I'm going to show you real quick while I have the opportunity this BlogStomp software, because it made such a huge difference to me in my ability to blog. So for example, I would pull up some images from a session. Well, let's just do smaller ones here. I drag and drop it into BlogStomp. The little bar at the bottom is loading it. This session was a lot of fun. And then all I have to do is select 2 images and hit Stomp It. Done. Now it's sized for my blog and it's ready to go. The watermark is added automatically. I can choose different versions of a grouping. I can even use the same grouping but shuffle. I can move the watermark and hit Stomp It. All of these images are contained in this folder. This is super funky, sorry. What to do now is upload it to my block size that I need it, it's watermarked, and it's resized so that the file size is very small, so it'll load very quickly. This is a huge, huge benefit when blogging. I would definitely encourage you to work on that. That's your number one thing this winter, okay? Alright, well, I think that kind of wraps it up. Until there's more content in the blog, I'm not going to worry about the formatting of it, but definitely you're going to need to have categories at some point. In fact, even now, you could have categories like specials or portrait tips or news, things like that. I think we covered a lot of information. I hope that I wasn't offensive in anything I said. I tried to be pretty direct because you asked me to. Again, I am being this direct because I know that you do good work, and I know that your website could be even better. I want to see you succeed. I want to see your site be as amazing as it can be. And I think with a few tweaks, you're definitely getting super, super close. A website is a lifetime experience. You're always going to have stuff to add to it and stuff to tweak and change, and that's a good thing. You already have a great base to start from, but it could be definitely a lot better with some changes. So I hope it was useful.